then it doesn't matter what you're saying at all because it's not like anybody's watching it. So, it's supposed to be a Lionsgate today. I'm actually sick and tired of fucking hearing about it. I don't know, maybe it's because it's like every year I hear it more and more and more and more and more and more. I'm just tired of fucking hearing people talk about it. But I think the reason for that is I hate spiritual people. I can't stand all these fucking people. Raise your vibration. Raise your vibration. Here are 5 things that you can do to raise your vibration instantly. Look in the mirror and go tell yourself to go fuck yourself. I am in absolute oneness. You're a fucking idiot. I'm gonna let you in on a big secret with my one class. Take my course. Take my course, which is exactly like all the other courses. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to watch all the videos that I post that are going to be exactly the same as 100 other different fuckheads who are saying the same exact goddamn thing as me. And if you act now, you might actually realize that they're making the same courses that I am too. We all just follow the same template. Ay, caramba. I fucking dodged a bullet with that shit. No, and the fucked up thing is like, I think that I was probably, in one way, shape, or form, taking all the same courses as all these other fucking people. Hey. I don't know how the hell this happened. A million fucking people talking about a Lionsgate. That's an over-exaggerated number. And I know that my YouTube algorithm it just fucking floods my feed with this shit. And it's not shit, it's legit, it's real stuff. But the shit is that it's just a bunch of fucking people who are just repeating each other. Oh my god. And they're all saying the same thing. They all say the same thing. Say something different. Say something different here. Don't worry about what other people are fucking telling you. How do you even know this is even a thing? Well, the stars are aligning. We're in a perfect alignment with the Sirius. Yeah, here's a serious question. How do you know? I like the idea. Listen, I love the idea of it. I think it's fucking dope as hell. That every year, between August 8th and August 15-ish, that the Earth is closest to the star Sirius, and that the 3 stars of Orion's belt are perfectly aligned with the tips of the 3 pyramids of Giza. That's awesome. I think it's really cool. I think it's fucking cool as fuck. Listen, I'm a vessel. I'm a vessel of Ra. Like, I get it. I go hard. But at the same time, it's like this fucking echo chamber. And I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm not saying that fucking the forces of the universe, the higher intelligences of the universe, have all fucking took this collective of fucking robots. Now's the time to start your spiritual business. What? That's another motherfucking thing. Why even calling it a spiritual business? Call it a fucking business. Call it what it is. Like, I'm a Reiki healer. I'm a healer. I'm an oracle. You're a fucking dipshit. No, but I do energy healing. Yes, so does a fucking million other people. Now, whose energy you got all up on you? Because I bet you, I let you touch my energy is not going to get all fucking infected with all the energy of everyone else's energy that you fucking touch, man. Come on. That's why I keep myself clean. I don't fuck with nobody like that. Plus, I feel really, 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 really drawn to it. But even then, it's a little sketchy. Well, I mean, for the most part, you go get a fucking energy healing, you go get your car driven, do any kind of work like that. It's just the fucking people are just gonna tell you everything that you already know. It's coming to a labyrinth, but I don't like lingering around here when there's class going on. I need my privacy when I talk to myself. And I mean, over the course of the years, like I've noticed that there's always like some pretty intense stuff that's going on in my life in this time frame. So it's not without any kind of merit. I get that. I just hate fucking influencers. Fucking hate them. There's a really cool... So I get my information from... I divine information from everything. Movies, books, games. Because even those things that technically aren't alive, they have a life to them. There's a spirit to them, there's an energy to them, there's a soul to them. And there's truth to them as well. I mean, take your favorite book. I'll take Star Wars, for example. Movies, books, and video games. We could argue that we can't prove that any of those events actually ever happened. But we could say that there is a Star Wars reality out there, especially in a multiverse type of scenario, that every single thing in those books is true. And that whoever's writing them is just channeling this history, these experiences that are really going on. But there's one of my favorite sources of unlife is role-playing games. Specifically, and the one that's coming to my mind right now, is Vampires: The Masquerade. I had this kick about 3 years ago, where just something told me I just got on this like tabletop role playing game kick, because my brain, my mind was telling me that I got a shit ton of them in my room, that the complexity of the systems themselves would come in handy for me. So it started off with me getting like a Dungeons and Dragons starter kit from Target. Something told me, like, if you know how to do this, you'll be able to actually run a Dungeons and Dragons game in your head. How is that practical? I don't know yet. I actually have been having these ideas that have been coming to me recently, where I've been wanting to learn how to write software. It feels really important. It's something I've been wanting to do for a really long time, as a matter of fact. I went to a 2-year college for 5 years, and for 1 year I had devoted to computer science and programming, because it's fucking fascinating. I wanted to get into the video game industry. I still do. I still want to. This part of my life, this time of my life, I'm done with regular stuff, with regular work. I don't do that anymore. Being a spiritual business owner, I've come to learn that I don't have to work a regular job anymore like everybody else. Everything I need is going to be provided for me, one way or the other. It may not make people happy. People may not like the way that I get my things. But my ex-wife was she made a good point last week. How'd she put it? You take the comfy comforts of mommy's house away, and what do you got? God, be fucked. But that's why I'm taking full advantage of the fact that I have an opportunity that not many people have been granted. I don't have to work. I don't have to chase money like a fucking animal, because I'm in a position in my life where I just don't need to do that. I have a family that takes care of me. It may not be their favorite thing to do, but while I am developing my own industry, this is the way. And I could feel bad. I could be like, oh man, I'm taking advantage of my mom. No, I'm not. As my father tells me, hey, listen, you didn't get this when you were a kid. Take it. Take it now. Take full advantage of it. Take advantage of the situation that people are willing to support you in this way. Because clearly, my ex-wife, she wouldn't support me. She wouldn't support my choices right now. Not many people would support my choice. My sister won't support me. But luckily my mother is in a position to support me. And I can't help it that other people go out of their way to adult. I was told I was childish. Childish? I don't think I'm childish. I think that it's just that you and I, we define being an adult completely different. Being an adult doesn't mean going to do a shitty job so that you can just make it paycheck to paycheck. That's not how I see it, at least. I did for a time. For a time, that's exactly how I saw it. But as I grew older and I grew wiser, I started to realize, no, I need to start doing the things that make me happy. I need to start doing what satisfies my soul. There are people out there that do this. They do what lights them up. Yeah, it's a real thing. Now, I just happen to also have a very gracious God who is willing to make sure that everything I need, as long as I'm doing what I feel is right, everything I need comes to me. I don't have to ask, I don't have to beg, I don't have to borrow, I don't have to steal, I don't have to do any kind of shady shit. All I need to do, which is very simple, it's not. It's actually really, you'd be surprised how difficult it can be. But all I have to do is just continue to do the things that make me feel good. Including, but not limited to, feeling like shit. I feel like shit. I feel terrible. I wish I could reverse the roles. My hope is that all of the work that I'm doing leads to a point where I can pay off all my mommy's bills, and then my mommy doesn't have to worry about working anymore, and then her and her husband can go do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want to do it, however the fuck they want to do it, with whoever the fuck they want to do it with. And you start a little fucking dog farm. Like literally a little dog farm. A farm of little dogs. No more work. No more work in that sense. No more being a slave to money. Hey, all your bills are paid. Don't worry about it. Go start a fucking little dog farm. Little fucking dogs. Go. That's your job now. And even my ex-wife, my son. Hey, there's your guest house. There's your guest house that you get to live in. You don't have to worry about paying any bills. All you got to do is just clean. You're my cleaning lady now. And you cook really good. Cook me food and clean my house, and you get to live there for free. Do whatever the fuck you want. All courtesy of the work I've been doing. My childish work. Jerk-offs. But I feel like Joseph. I feel like Joseph sometimes. Jacob's son. In that I'm trusting my vision. People would rather fucking sell my ass into slavery. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. What? But, went off a little bit there. Vampires? Influencers. Oh, yeah. So there's this tabletop role-playing game, Vampires Masquerade. It's really cool. I've never played it. I've read the books, some of the books. I've read a little bit of it. I've read what interests me to help me fill in the gaps in my reality. Because every story, every myth, every legend, it's all based on truth to one degree or another. And vampires are real, believe it or not. I am one. Now, not so much the blood-sucking kind, but the energy-sucking kind. But even the blood-sucking kind can be corresponded with energy-sucking vampires. Have you ever worked in a big corporation before? I used to work for Hugo Boss. That place is a hive of energy-sucking vampires. The higher up the corporate ladder you go, the stronger the vampires are. Because they're feeding off of the energy of their employees. It's really heinous to see how it works. I wonder if I'm even supposed to be back here right now. All these poles and pipes. You know, the barricades. I come in through a secret way. And... oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be here today. Maybe I don't give a shit. Well, we're gonna see what happens over here. I like vampire lore. I like to extract the sympathetic magic. Meaning, there's mindsets, there's emotional correspondences, mental correspondences with certain ideas and philosophies that, when overlaid with regular reality, you find interesting connections that technically shouldn't be there but are. Including but not limited to the fact that there are vampires that feed off of people knowingly. And they actually get off on it. They get people scared, pissing people off. Yeah, but you know, people let it happen. You know, my friend. I mean, look at it, it's really hot now. But at the same time, what? You're talking crazy. Yeah, I know. No, I'm not. No, it's not. I know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what the fuck. Influencers. Vampires. Influencers are energy vampires. Cults of personality. They get off on people paying attention to them. Find any kind of influencer. They are a vampire. They take advantage of people's ignorance. They exploit their own ignorance. Aaron Dowdy, Victor Odo, these people, there's a dude named Clark. These people, they don't know shit about what they're actually talking about. They just say stuff. They're repeating shit. I don't know where they get their information from, but and maybe they do really intuit a lot of this stuff. These people, they're like, I'm not your just man because they didn't let you in on the group. No, of course I am. Of course. No, you're totally right. But I've also been following a lot of these guys for like 5 years. Because back then, 5 years ago, I decided I'm going to infiltrate all this and find out what the fuck is going on here. Because they're talking about things that I don't know to some degree. But at the same time, they're talking about things that I do know, but in a different way. You know? So, my intention was to kind of just get what I can from these people, see if I can figure out how it is that they're doing what they're doing, and then take away what I can from it. And what I've noticed is that they, how do you put it? The influencers are influencing new influencers, right? The influencers then tell people how to do things. They give people this false sense of hope. Or they give people the sense of hope. I can't say it's false. Because it is real. The sense of hope is real. But what you're hoping for ain't real. So it's all a money grab. That's all it is. It's literally, it's just one big money grab. And I get it to a degree. And the spiritual industry is an industry. People make a lot of money off of it. You know, they make a shit ton of money off of it. I don't actually believe that a lot of people believe the things that they say. It's just my own personal view. Starseeds. Fucking can't stand them. You got a starseed problem? I got a starseed problem. Watching this lady yesterday, Elizabeth April. Again. And see, now here's the thing. It's like, they know that there's a marketing ploy to it. But at the same time, there is a higher intelligence out there. At least for me. But it's almost as if these influencers, what they do is they exploit the actual intelligence, because they'll use specific tactics. Especially on YouTube, what people will do, and this is kind of parasitic. That's why I'm saying this is like vampiric, because they're using specific tactics in order to lure people in to pay attention to them and continue to come back, and people buy into it. Not that it's not real, because there is an aspect to it that it's real. I personally don't believe that the people spouting this stuff really believe their own bullshit. Why? I don't know. It's just a feeling I get. It's just a feeling. And it could just be me on my high horse, because I've been doing this without money. Because what I've learned is that I don't need to do it and ask for money. I don't need to beg people for money. I don't need to chase money. Money comes. Now, mind you, like right now I'm doing this thing with Hugo Boss that I'm fighting with them. I'm exploiting the fact that they exploited me. And I've been in this 3.5 month, almost 4 month battle with them to get retro paid for money that they were knowingly not giving me, because of the fact that they were under the impression that I was ignorant to specific company policies that would have required them to pay me more than what they were giving me. Does that make sense? So basically, I caught them trying to fuck me. And they went, oh shit. And they have been trying to kind of like just I don't want to say pay me off because it's such small amounts of money, but small money is big money. You know what I mean? Like, it's only a couple hundred here, a couple thousand there, but at the same time, it's the principle of it. It's the principle. The fact that, hey, I did this. If we were following the rule books, I should have been making this, but I was making that. Why? So, finally, I annoyed them so much, or annoyed, harassed, I don't know what word that they would use, but I was so persistent that I was not going to let this go, that now mind, and the reason for that is because they already acknowledged the fact that they were going to compensate me for this, but I felt that they were dragging their ass intentionally. So I would give them like a week or two to respond to requests, and then I would come back. But I would go back hard. I wouldn't hold back. And I wouldn't go overboard. I would trust my feelings and trust the way that I was expressing myself to them, that I wasn't going overboard. So a couple weeks back, they got a lawyer involved, and a labor lawyer, not just any lawyer, like specifically a labor lawyer. And I had talked to the guy. He and I had been back and forth after he introduced himself, and he told me what his job was. So, and we actually came to I don't want to say we came to a settlement, but I did receive a confidentiality agreement. Not a confidentiality agreement, but he gave me a number, and that number was $80 short of what I had calculated, but I felt that it was close enough, which even saying that makes me go, close enough. But at the same time, I continually told myself, this isn't about the money. This is about the principle, man. You came up with 1188, they came up with 1100. Okay. They're obviously these are like fucking penny pinching motherfuckers that are gonna like go out of their way to pay off as little as possible, because the fact that it's taken 3 months to get to this, and mind you, $640 of that $1,100 is compensation that they have no choice, that they have to pay me, because that was part of the agreement for my job. The rest is just like, it's fuck you money. In the sense, like, you should have been paying me, but instead you told me to go fuck myself. So, yeah, and one, I didn't even ask for that. That's not even what I asked about. I asked about this over here, and nobody's telling me about this. Why is nobody bringing this up? We'll pay you this extra money for that experience, but yeah, but what about that? What about that? That's 4.5 months that you didn't pay me. And I was actually doing the job. I didn't ask for this. I appreciate it. Listen, I appreciate the fuck out of it. But what about that? What say you now? So they continued to ignore it. So this morning I was thinking, like, it came up. It's like, what, am I just going to take this payment from them and ignore the fact that they're ignoring that? Come on, it's what is it, like a fucking $1,000 maybe? But as a guy who's got 27 cents in his bank account for the past 42 days, $1,000 goes a long way. Not to mention that they're probably going to tax that $1,100, which is going to come out to what, fucking $750? Again, that's a small bit of money, but it's a lot to someone like me. I can make that stretch for fucking forever, potentially. But my concern is this over here. Why is nobody answering my question? Why is this still a lingering issue? Because, and this is what I told the lawyer this morning, was I've been asking this question for 3.5 months and nobody's answered me. They told me that I was a temporary employee, which is fine. That doesn't matter. I'm okay with that. But if I wasn't eligible for this particular stipend, why was I getting that particular stipend when I should have been getting both? Because now what I have to imagine is, oh, you were a temporary employee, so you weren't eligible for that. Yeah, but I was doing that. So I'm okay with the fact that I was temporary and I wasn't eligible for this particular thing. But what that is leading me to believe is we were intentionally exploiting my ignorance so that you can save $1.46 an hour for 4.5 months. Right? And I can't help but believe that the reason that this keeps on getting ignored, and I could be wrong, but again, I have to come up with my own conclusions, but maybe the reason that this is all being ignored is the fact that this was several months ago. This was at the tail end of last year. So not only would this be an HR nightmare to have to pull out all my hours and calculate things, but this would also probably lead to certain people in the company being questioned with questions that they don't know the answer to and or don't want to answer. But at the same time, I consider it this way. The company hired a labor lawyer to handle my case. Because HR couldn't handle it. I don't know that for certain. All I know is that the lawyer told me that my HR contact was going on vacation and that he would be handling the rest of the case. And anytime I have a concern, to let him know. Okay, no problem. Now, is there a little fucking devil inside of me that's giggling his fucking ass off every time I have to email the lawyer because I know that, well, I have an idea, I don't know for certain, but I have a feeling that every time I email him, it's a cha-ching, a cha-ching, a cha-ching for his law firm. And which is why he goes, send me all of your concerns. No problem, my friend. No problem. I got nothing but respect for this guy. The way I look at it is, Hugo Boss, they've been fucking carrying me on their shoulders for almost a year now. The gig I had going with them, they were paying for me to live in a hotel. They were paying for all my expenses. I was eating out to dinner every single night. I was like a fucking king. Lunch, dinner, breakfast. I mean, my contact at the company, he bitched at me a couple times because I was getting a little pricey, but the way it was explained to me, you have $90 a day, $30 for breakfast, $30 for lunch, $30 for dinner. Okay, no fucking problem. Consider it done. Plus my hotel, they gave a free breakfast. And yeah, we could argue that all of the expenses, my lifestyle over the course of those months covered the money, but I'd counter that and say that all of the extra stress and anxiety that I had to go through by managing the operations of that store, that's what that was compensating. And if you were supposed to be paying me an extra $1.46, not to mention the fact that I wasn't getting commission either. It's a commission-based job. But I look at it like this. A buddy of mine who I used to work for in the commercial vehicle wrap industry, never leave money sitting on the table. If you can get it, get it. And I'm not a greedy man. I'm not like... There's a part of me that wants to like Fight Club Hugo Boss. I'm reading Fight Club right now, which is different from the movie. Not entirely, but there's some differences in the book than there are in the movie. Like, for instance, the narrator, he doesn't actually beat the shit out of himself in front of his boss. That's Tyler who does it. Tyler beats the shit out of himself. No, I'm sorry. Tyler gets the shit kicked out of him by the head of the film projector union, because he tells the guy how he has been splicing in blowjobs, cunnilingus, dicks, pussies into family films. Back in the old days, they used to have reels, movie reels with film, and apparently what some people would do, what some film projector operators would do is, yeah, they would have to run the movies while people are watching it, but in between, what they would do is they would take just like one frame of porn and splice it into a family film. And these movies, they usually, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think of like 24 frames a second. So there would just be a quick, you wouldn't barely even notice it. I don't think you would even consciously be able to notice it, but a dick would pop on the screen. Boing. If you ever saw Fight Club, then you know what I'm talking about. But he tells the guy that he did this, and the union rep beats the ever-loving piss out of him. But because he beats the piss out of him, Tyler is able to get a salary without having to work anymore. And the same thing happens with the narrator when he gets laid off. He lets his boss know that he's been pissing in the soup, jerking off in the soup, sticking his dick in the soup. And if they don't pay him a ransom, that he's going to go to the press and let everybody know that this prestigious hotel has been serving its clients dick, piss, and cum-laden soups and foods and beverages, ruining their business. Now, I've informed Hugo Boss that I'm doing this, by the way. I told them that I talk about this on my social media. They didn't respond to it, but I got a feeling that... Hi, Karen. Hi, Mark. Hi, Budsman. Hi, Brian. Frank. So, and the reason I even bring that up is because Hugo Boss actually has a policy where they will spy on employee social media accounts, where you can get in trouble and potentially even terminated if you say anything negative about the company on your social media. But now here's My ex-wife brought up a good point. It's not mean if it's true. What's negative? Define negative. What is negative? It's not like, I mean, we could argue that it would be negative to harp on the fact that Hugo Boss is like one of the last remnants of the Third Reich. That Herr Hugo was in charge of outfitting the SS troops, the SS soldiers, SS higher-ups, Himmler's people. Which reminds me, I got this really good book I got to finish. It's called Zodiac and Swastikas. It's written by Wilhelm Wolff. He was Himmler's personal astrologer. But apparently the Nazis weren't just collecting Jews. They were collecting astrologers. Himmler was a really interesting character in the sense that he had been running a lot of operations that involved hunting down and collecting occult artifacts, esoteric and occult artifacts, which I guess technically is the same thing, but... And from what I understand, I don't have any like first-hand proof other than Wilhelm's book, but apparently there was even a call. There were some people in the regime who believed that the witch purge of the 15th and 17th, from the 15th to 17th century, was a conspiracy by the church to extinguish or erase proofs of the magic people that existed, the pre-Christian magic people. Which is funny because when I read that, that's what I believe. If you're not familiar with Aradia is a historical figure. It's known as Queen of Witches, daughter of Diana, the goddess Diana, and Lucifer. By some accounts, some people would argue, oh, it's Apollo and Diana. Same thing, man. I know you're trying to be smart. I know you're trying to, like, display your understanding of ancient myths, mythologies, legends. But these entities, these non-human entities, they go by different names. They have different names throughout different regions. And Lucifer, Apollo, you just call them the same guy. They have a completely different history than human history. Well, it's separate, but it also overlaps. We call it legends and myths. Did you know that Princess Diana was named after the goddess Diana? I didn't know that. I've been listening to Prince Harry's book, Spare. How is it? It's actually really fucking good. I feel like I'm about halfway done. I think I have roughly 4 hours left. But that 4 hours is the equivalent of 8 hours. Because I listen to my audiobooks on double speed. I can process the information at that octave, so it's not bad. Plus it allows me to cram twice as much information in half the time. Plus, there's a really cool sense of satisfaction that comes from knocking out a fucking like 9-hour book in 4.5 hours. in one sitting, or even a 6-hour book in 3 hours. Done that. Just put the headphones on, slide there, and just. I mean, at the end of those 3 hours, it feels like my fucking head's gonna explode, but. Oh, one day, it's out here. I knocked out the entire Greenlights by Matthew McConaughey. I banged that fucking thing out. In like 4 rotations. That was a fucking great book. Matthew. And there's a lot of really good insights in that. Like, even now, like I was saying, going on with Hugo, Uncle Hugo, is the fact that, like, this isn't so much about the money. Of course I'm going to take the money out of it. If I have money that's owed to me from them, even which is funny because I have this philosophy, nobody owes you shit. But at the same time, I also realized, like, they took advantage of me as much as I was taking advantage of them. And at the same time, they were exploiting me as much as I was exploiting them. So I'm going to take advantage of the fact that they were exploiting me and get the fuck is mine. If I can. I just happen to be in a position right now where I could use it. And it makes sense that it would be not owed to me, but I deserve it for the work that I did. Part of me wants, and this is fucked, but part of me wants somebody to get fired because of this. Part of me wants people to get deep shit. Part of me wants people's careers to be ruined because of this. Part of me wants bad things to happen to bad people. But, and you know what brought this up is I started reading the Torah. I just finished Genesis yesterday, which is fucking amazing, by the way. I've never read the whole thing through. It took me like a couple days to read through it, but I understand it. It makes sense. I get what's happening. And I don't see anything fantastical about it. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I totally get it. Totally fucking get it. It's just one long continuous story. One family bloodline. It's incredible. What's going on inside his head right now? No, I'm just thinking about how everything started from Adam and Eve and made its way up to Joseph. Because even Joseph's story, like Joseph goes through some serious shit before he becomes the operations manager of the entirety of Egypt. But when you consider the grand plan, when you take into consideration the Hebrew God's grand plan, the coming of Moshiach, the refinement of the world, like what type of things need to happen in order for this to happen? That whole book of Genesis is exactly what would need to happen first. Because what ends up happening is Joseph, the only person outranking Joseph is Pharaoh. Now, with the Moshiach would be Pharaoh. But it's almost like all of that struggle that took to get to that point everything that went down to get to that point where Joseph, the Jew, was running Egypt. Almost like a precursor, almost like it feels like it's almost like all of the experience that he got doing what he was doing is what was going to be required in the future, as in genetic memory, genetic history, just like generational curses. There's generational blessings. People focus on generational curses, but we forget to put any kind of emphasis on generational blessings. That's why when people talk about karma, they look at karma as a bad thing. It's very rare that I ever hear people talk about karma as a positive thing. It's my karma. Yes. Yes. My inheritance. My generational inheritance. Who are you talking to? My phone. Who are you talking to? I just felt somebody watching. Who the fuck's he talking to? Nobody in particular. Talking to my phone. Talking to the future. I just get off on recording myself talking. Because I don't really have anyone to talk to about this type of stuff, so what I do is I just record myself talking about it. As if that there's people watching. Which, in a sense, is kind of like, that's part of my job as a witch. Brujo. I incorporate different types of magic and mystical philosophies and beliefs into my own system. Kind of like a Mod Podge of things. But what's really interesting is that once I started learning more about the Hebraic spiritual practices and metaphysical sciences of Hebrew, I really started to resonate with all of that. To the point where I believe that once I get through the 5 books of Moses, I'm going to find out more confirmation, but that I am of that bloodline, which is why I can see the things that I can see, which is why I can do the things that I can do. Last night I just started Exodus, and I didn't know that when God told Moses to stand up to Pharaoh, not Joseph's Pharaoh, but when God told Moses to stand up to Pharaoh, Moses didn't believe in himself. He had absolutely no faith in himself. He didn't think he could pull it off. He was afraid. And he actually begged God to find somebody else to do it for him. Like, I'm slow. Like, I don't have what it takes to speak. I don't have the qualifications. Like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not smart. And God just tells him, he's like, here, I'm going to show you how to do some tricks. Show the people that you can do this. Show the people what I'm showing you. Believe in yourself. And that was the interesting thing is when I only made it through about like 9 of the 10 plagues. I don't know how many plagues there are. But what's important it's interesting. What's coming to my mind right now is how people will discredit a lot of what's going on in the Bible. But I don't know if they actually read it. I don't know if they actually read it. I don't know if maybe they're taking it too literally. Even though I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with taking it literally. We live in an age where magic is totally shit on. People don't believe in magic anymore. People don't even believe in God. So, of course, people, if you take it literally, it's going to seem like far-fetched fantasy. But I believe in magic. I've seen it. I believe in God. I believe in Goddess. I believe in Satan. They're all part of the same thing. I see synchronicities. My intuition, I trust my intuition more than I trust people. I trust when I have my feelings. I trust when I have a feeling about something. And that's why I told the lawyer this morning, was like, we've established this a couple weeks ago. When I get a feeling, I gotta be on it. And I had a feeling, so I'm on it. But there's serious lessons to be learned by reading the Torah. And I'm assuming, the fucking Old Testament's the same thing. A lot of the Christian faith has this mentality of putting so much emphasis on Jesus, but I don't know why there's no emphasis on the Old Testament, because I feel like that's more important. That's far more important. You can't... And I got a feeling that the New Testament's going to make a lot more sense once I finish the Old Testament. I have a couple books that I'm trying to focus on. Right now, I'm really focused on the Torah. Hyper focused on it. And after reading through Genesis, shit. No, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to... So, I was talking about this yesterday, but I journal a lot. I got about 120 journals over the past 5 years, ever since my spiritual awakening started. And because of the way that I organize them, internally and externally, what I mean by that is, I title them before I write them. That's the important thing. You got to come up with the title before you write it. But even how they're organized internally, where they're tracked by the day, obviously the day, month, and the year. But I take it a step further and also keep track of astrological data as well, including the placement of the sun, the placement of the moon, the sun and moon. Because as a mystic, part of my job is to understand components of astrology, also known as geocentric astronomy. It's not all about telling the future, predicting things. What it's about is understanding how those things relate to one another, you know? I mean, how the fuck are you supposed to be able to predict the future if you can't even tell how it worked in the past? So something I like to do is, or even right this moment, something I like to do is sometimes pull up my transit chart, which is a chart for the placements at this exact moment, and then see how it correlates, see how it corresponds. I mean, you got to be able to see how right now works, and then go to the past and see, okay, well, the past, okay, I can see how it lines up with the past as well. But then, okay, now let's see if we can do the future. I've tried to do some future predictions, and I wasn't wrong. I wasn't 100% wrong. I wasn't 100% right either, but I cherry picked. This is the type of work you have to cherry pick. That's the nice thing about it. Any kind of hit is a hit. I actually I learned some cool tricks from Wilhelm Wolff. I love the idea that I've learned Nazi astrology. It's not an astrology book, it's an autobiography, but he does talk about his work and how he goes about doing certain things. So there's things to take away from it. There's some cool stuff to take away from it. Because he practices a type of astrology that I don't. But I try to incorporate some of the things I learned. This way I can kind of be a little bit more... So I can be a little bit more expansive. You go to an astrologer, I don't know if you've ever had your chart read before, but it's probably one of the most underwhelming experiences I've ever had. They talk to you in a jargon that's like, what? I mean, I know astrology, so I was able to kind of keep up with some things, but at the same time, what I was expecting versus what I experienced was just like, ugh. Okay. Fuck this shit. Paid way too much money for that. Well, no, you know what? I paid exactly enough. I paid enough to realize, holy shit. People get paid this much money for that? Fuck. I better up my game. Plus something else I learned, especially reading Zodiac and swastikas, is if you're gonna be the fucking Fuhrer, if you're gonna be the fucking emperor of a country, be your own astrologer. Be your own oracle. You can't do that. What about all the personal bias? Exactly. That's the point. It's not about being able to see the future. It's not being able to predict anything. What it is about is seeing what's possible. If you can see it up here, then you can make it happen out there. And the purpose of the astrology is to broaden your horizons, open your eyes to possibilities that you may not have been able to, possibilities and ideas that you may not have been able to conceive without having conferred to the stars. It's an incredible science. Most skeptics, Most skeptics are skeptical because they don't understand it. It was never explained to them, and at least in a good context. I don't think that there's many really good teachers out there. I would say that most teachers suck. Not all of them. There are some good ones. Raquel Springs, she's amazing. Very mystical. But see, my way of learning, I don't learn like I don't learn things the way that I believe other people learn things. What I mean by that is, most people learn by memorizing. People memorize things, and then they kind of repeat, find ways to connect to the information, I guess. Yeah, they find practical ways to apply the information that they've memorized. See, I don't do it like that. I pick up on things conceptually. I don't so much memorize it as much as I experience it. So how can I take that information? How have I experienced the basic components of that information in my own life? Does that make sense? I'm trying to think of how I can apply that, how I can explain that. Oh, okay. Hugo Boss, right? So in Hugo Boss, like there was this really cool feature of being an employee there. There was things I really enjoyed about working there. I loved working for Hugo Boss. I just didn't like working in the stores because I hate dealing with customers. My original intention was to become the regional manager. That's what I wanted. My brother's been working for the company for like 8 years. Works in a fucking store. He's satisfied where he's at. But he used to tell me stories about the employees. It used to drive me nuts. I was in the graphic industry for 12 years as an operations manager. So I have managerial experience. I was an operations manager for a commercial vehicle wrap, $1 million commercial vehicle wrap job for fucking 2.5 years. $1 million. All right. So what happened was when I first started there, I think we were making, the year that I came on, it was like a $650,000 a year. But every year that I was there, annual profits would go up. Not profits, but annual gross income would increase by $100,000 to $150,000. In the last year I was there, we were at fucking like 960. When I left, after I left, their next year was about 750. So they lost about 200 just for me leaving. Well, mind you, when I left, I went to go work for one of our former clients who was leaving. But from me going there, I accelerated the process, which then increased the profitability of our client. So there is that. I have a good track record. Good at what I do. And I don't take bullshit. I don't like being fucked with. So while we were there at Hugo Boss, they had this feature, Hugo University, and it was kind of required of the employees to participate in taking specific classes. Hugo Boss is a high-end men's retail. They make good clothes, expensive clothes. Wearing it right now. Is that advertising? Did I just advertise for Hugo Boss? Fucking dogs. Fucking motherfuckers. Yes. Hello. Kind of. But the nice thing about Hugo University is it maybe depends on the class. Some of it's just corporate stuff, compliance, company policy, stuff like that. None of which says that I shouldn't have been getting paid, but that's a whole other story. Oh my god. Then, but there were other courses and classes that I just fell in love with. Kind of trying to think of a few of them. Corporate structuring, corporate philosophy. There was also some courses on leather, where the leather comes from, how the leather is manufactured, the different types of leathers. Also, the different brands within the Hugo Boss group. I mean, Hugo Boss, they make a couple different types of clothes, different brands of clothes. They make Hugo, Boss. Well, there's Boss and then there's Hugo. Black label, red label. There's other labels. There's green label, there's orange, but black and red are the main ones. There's Boss, there's Hugo. There's Hugo, there's Boss. Motherfucker. But they're different styles. In the sense that, how would I explain it? So Boss is more, I don't want to say casual, but I guess casual would be the way I would explain it. It's your basic stuff. It's more prominent in the stores. Hugo Red is more fashion, more fashionable, more stylized, way fucking cooler. I much prefer Hugo Red clothes than Boss black clothes. They got cooler shit sometimes. But that was the inspiration for Toxic Life Solutions, Toxic Business Solutions. Toxic Life Solutions is my life coaching firm. Toxic Business Solutions is kind of like the next step. Toxic Life Solutions for when you need to get your shit together a little bit, or a lot. Toxic Business Solutions when you're ready to be your own boss. And that's another thing that I love about Hugo Boss. And it's funny, I was thinking about this morning. I woke up around 4 o'clock in the morning. There's a quarter moon today. We have a third quarter moon in Taurus. Matter of fact, we're at the 3/4 point. In the current lunar cycle. My life, I don't use the secular calendar so much more for anything except for just a reference. My typical months are lunar cycle months, 28 to 30 day lunar cycles. My life is I'm learning to more incorporate a lunisolar cycle calendar. Lunisolar calendar. Not unlike the Jews, or the Chinese, or Islam, or anybody else who uses the sun and moon as a legitimate calendar system. Because that's what it's there for. That's what they're there for. There's a system to how they work. We also use a form of time telling that I believe negates the need for, how do you say it? What the fuck's it called? Daylight savings. I don't know. Kind of scrap the idea for the need for daylight savings. Because what we're doing is we're adding and taking away. We're adding and taking away hours from the day over the course of a year. It's called relative time. So the idea is that there's always going to be 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of darkness. It's just that the length of the hour is relative to the position of the sun as it goes around the earth. Ouch. Or, if you prefer, the sun going around, or the earth going around the sun. Not everybody lives in a heliocentric solar system. And that's okay. I happen to be one of them. But that is kind of what sets me and my business apart from everything else, except for maybe the Jews. Great book that I read, Jewish Wisdom for Business Success. And take the lessons of the Torah and apply it to your business. It's all relative. Everything is relative. If you can find a way to make it correspond. So, for instance, I was talking about How you doing, man? I was talking about reading Exodus and Moses having to deal with Pharaoh and his fear of dealing with Pharaoh. How he didn't think that he was capable of standing up to Pharaoh. And telling God, like, I'm not smart enough. I don't have the linguistic skills to be to be arguing with this guy. God's like, don't worry about it. You're good. You just do what I tell you. And trust me, he's not going to listen anyway. The fact that you're coming to him for me is going to piss him off even more. And it's going to force me to have to take drastic measures against Egypt. That's what God said. Here's literally what God said to him. You tell him that you come for me. He's not going to listen. But that's exactly what we need. Because God already knew, we got to break the fuck out of this. Talking to these people, talking to this motherfucker, it's basically talking to a wall. But at the same time, doing what we're doing, making the demands that we're making. Because what happened was Pharaoh didn't like the Jews. So he started to exploit them. And when it was coming time for a holiday, he was making them do some harsh shit. And that was because he just didn't like them. Like he actually wanted to fuck them over. There was too many of them. There was too many of them, and he was afraid that they might revolt. But, as per usual, you try to avoid something. This is something that we learn time and time again throughout history, is when you try to make something not happen, that's exactly how to make it happen. So he kind of pushed them into like really unsavory work environment conditions, dangerous work conditions, and they blamed Moses at one point, just because of you, because you had to say something. But at the same time, it's just like, hey, someone's got it. Sorry, I know you're not gonna like this, but it's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it though. And I can see that in my own situation too. It's like, if people knew, my friends, my family knew what I was doing with regards to Hugo Boss, and that there's a lawyer involved now, they would be pissed. They would be shitting their pants going, oh my god, he's gonna fuck everything up, he's gonna get us all fired, he's gonna get himself sued. Maybe. But I told Pharaoh, just like Moses. And it's funny because I was reading this last night. I'm like, well, this is literally what I've been going through with Hugo Boss. Because Moses goes to Pharaoh and he's like, yo, let my people go worship. Let my people go worship in the wilderness. It's a 3-day trip. It's a 3-day journey. But they're all going. And Moses and fucking Pharaoh's like, yeah, you fucking mind? I got these people working. There's too much work that's gotta be done. And they're gonna stay and they're gonna fucking work. This is literally what I went through with Hugo Boss. And hello. Go. And I mean, Moses, it's a different situation. It's really not. From a allegorical, metaphorical perspective, it's the exact same thing. Moses goes to Pharaoh, shows him one of the miracles that he learns, performs one of the miracles he's taught, and Pharaoh gets one of his magicians to copy. He goes, so the fuck what? I can do the same thing. Alright. But here's what's gonna happen. Get the fuck out of here. Next day, maybe a week, Moses comes back. God tells him the same shit. He's like, yo, alright, now I want you to go tell him this. And again, Moses is like, oh man, and this is fucked up. And this is literally what I'm going through, because over 3.5 months, I usually have to text these or email these guys like one every week, every other week. It's fucking scary. And I go, fuck, I can't do this. I'm gonna piss somebody off. They're not gonna fucking pay me. I'm not gonna have any money. I'm so fucked. They're probably laughing at me. They probably think I'm a fucking joke. But then God comes. It's like, no. You tell them what I'm fucking telling you. And I just write. I practice automatic writing, channeled writing. My God is my higher self. My higher self is me from the future. What the fuck? Yeah. Are you familiar with the higher self? It's your soul. How do you talk to your soul? The same way you would fucking talk to anybody else. Hey, toxic, how you doing? Doing pretty good. These cocksuckers still watching? Yeah. Laid on thick. Alright. But each time, I don't want to say threat, but the seriousness of Moses' demonstration grows. Until finally, God has to take action against Egypt and start fucking up some of Egypt's properties. Perceived properties. Nobody owns anything. Until finally, Pharaoh's like, yo. Okay. I submit. I'll let them go. Just get back. Just tell God to get off my back. All right. So Moses would go and he would pray for Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh would get his way, and then he'd back off. He'd like, fuck that. You niggas ain't doing shit. His ego would get the better of him. But that's what God said. He said, I'm gonna harden his heart, and he's gonna back off. But this is good because that's gonna give us more reason to keep on going at him. And it just continues happening. Frogs. I just got to the locusts. And I believe the last plague is the death of the firstborns, which is finally when Pharaoh goes, okay, I back off now. Oh, shit, it's almost done. But, I don't know, this was fun. I'm gonna go upload this and maybe we'll come back out later because it's really nice out. And I want to get some things done today. But being that it's the Lion's Gate and it's also the Taurus quarter moon, like this is the perfect time to be doing some stuff because next week, next week is not only the new moon on the 15th, which is going to close out the Lion's Gate portal, but then my birthday's on the 18th. I love my birthday. I love my birthday more than any other day. Well, it's the most important day of the year. If you've ever read the Satanic Bible, your birthday is the most holy of holies because it's a day that you became the center of the universe. I became the center of the universe, the center of all creation. Because all this is because of me. You, that guy, the other guy,